eSports.ch. Powered by UPC.
So, next big event, one of the next bigger events coming up this year is going to be the Overwatch World Cup. And Switzerland is going to be part of it, thanks to a lot of enthusiastic and motivated Overwatch players and people who are organizing the whole thing. We've got two people who were already part of the Overwatch team last year, Sharper and Dury. Dury or the BeFroz3n? What's better?
Dury, whatever you call it.
Okay. Two very exciting heads in Swiss esports scene. You're very involved, and you were all, like I said, already part of the Overwatch team Switzerland last year. So, let's take a look back to the World Cup last year. How was it for you? If you think back now after some time, what's the experience, the Overwatch World Cup?
The first hours, I think it was surreal.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I speak for mostly everyone when the first days you had no idea what's actually happening there, even though you're in the middle of the happening. Mm-hmm. I think the processing, what we actually achieved before we got into the first game it was outstanding, especially for me. I couldn't believe it after it was over, mm-hmm. actually.
Mm-hmm. So what made it that special? Just if I can continue with the question. What made it such a special event? Why couldn't you believe it?
Yeah, for me, I think it's a little bit another case than for Sharper. I was pretty new in the scene, first of all. Mm-hmm. I just started in a small team and got lucky enough to get voted in as a community lead. Mm-hmm. And then it's like one of the biggest events in esports, especially in Overwatch. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we get even lucky enough to get in the Overwatch League arena, the Blizzard arena, which was like a huge goal for me. And to meet all those pro players, the casters, like the cream de la cream worldwide from the Overwatch scene. So that was pretty bad.
Yeah. And Sharper, how was it for you?
Well, I had a little bit of a different scenario, as you said. The main difference in all of this was last year Blizzard was the one who were picking the general manager. You had to apply to Blizzards and pretty much send your CV, and they would pick someone based on their knowledge of the scene and also based on your CV. So for me, it was like I applied to GM, but I also applied to coach, and suddenly, like 1 week before the voting for coaches, I get an email from Blizzard and they're like, hey, we'd like to have you as general manager. And at this point I'm like, oh shit, what's going on, right? Because I honestly didn't expect at all to be voted or picked for the GM. And back then I had to make a decision, what am I going to do? Am I going to take the safe bet? Because like if I pick the GM role, I'm safe in there. Or am I going to be like, okay, I want to go for the coach role, which I wouldn't be safe in there because there's other people to be voted for, right? And Blizzard was very, how should I say, very, very, fair towards the other participants there in not saying me whether I would actually make it to the cut for the coach voting, which I was pretty certain of, though, because there weren't a lot of coaches. But in the end, I picked GM, and when the voting page came online, I saw, like, I think for the coach I was still in the voting for the coach because Blizzard didn't have time to put me out there. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a bit of depressing part for me there because people would vote for me and message me on Discord, hey, I voted for you, and I was like there, I wasn't allowed to say anything. I was like, yeah, thank you, great vote, I appreciate it a lot, but I already knew back then who was going to be the coach. So it was interesting though, because as soon as the results were out, I made a WhatsApp group with both Shino and Diri. Mm-hmm. I was like, yeah, congrats guys, we're going to LA. And Diri was like, he was freaking out at that point a little bit. He was like, what the fuck is going on? What do you mean we're going to LA? Yeah, definitely was a great experience. And as Diri said, like Blizzard Arena, like we couldn't have gotten it any better in my opinion for all the group stages that were there. Like it was the best thing we could have. We were at the stage where the pro players are playing. We had the top casters, we had the top broadcast talent. So like we got all the possible perfect things that you could wish for. So great experience there.
So it was a chance to get a glimpse into this pro world, into this pro scene as some, let's say, small Swiss people. And
Absolutely.
you couldn't see my air quotes now, but it was, I can imagine that's something you don't get to experience every day. And especially now you've got the chance to do it again. The people voted for you guys to go again because they think you've got the potential, you got the experience now, maybe. What does that mean for you that you are in it again this year?
Go ahead, Turi.
And for me, the experience this year is like within a 180 degrees turn. I said the same thing to Novo the second we got voted. The hype isn't as big as last year, especially like for us. I mean, we saw it when people could how do you call it again, to get voted as a committee.
Endorse?
Yeah, you can endorse it yourself. You saw that not as much and not as many people as last year applied. I saw it especially in my role because last year there were like 15, 20 people applying, and 10 of them are big names in our scene. So this year I was one of one of three, I guess it was in the end. Okay. So for me it was pretty early clear I have a really good chance, and I'm in quotes a safe bet. So yeah, that excitement went away. And also what's changed in general, as you said, like last year it was like the first opportunity, the first glimpse into the professional scene, and we gathered so much experience. I think the thing we did last year, we can build up upon of that and go even further. And we have the experience how to deal with Blizzard and with other teams and stuff, and that's a big head up for us.
Yeah, definitely. Sharpo, how do you feel about it now?
Yeah, I think the main point that we have to look on is the experience that we gained. As Thierry said, it's invaluable. Like, if someone new got picked into one of those roles, they would have to work up all those experiences, and especially at the venue then, like at how to handle the venue, the people of Blizzard, how to handle things there. Those things, those are pretty tough to learn for the first time. Like, how do you handle, where is the line that you need to be careful about with certain content you push and so on. So that definitely helped a lot that we had them from last year. For myself, I feel like from all the three roles, I was the one that was the least certain to be picked. Like, we have Luft and coach, who was pretty much set because there was no one else that applied. Plus, Luft is probably the most qualified person in Switzerland for that. Duri, in my opinion, is the most qualified person for the community lead role. So I'm happy that people voted for him again. And I was together with Yoki, who was a team manager for SPG long ago, and now is team manager for My Insanity in the race for the GM role. So for me, it was the least certain, but yeah, I'm happy I got picked again because this year it's gonna be at BlizzCon, and for any Blizzard fan or gaming fan at all, BlizzCon is a little bit of a dream, or at least that's how it is for me. So I want to make sure that hopefully we can go there and obviously not only enjoy the Overwatch World Cup and all the esports competition that always is at BlizzCon, whether it is in Overwatch or in the other Blizzard titles, but also just the convention itself.
Enjoy some Diablo Immortals there. Some first-hand experience.
Got it already ready.
No! No, great. So, speaking of your roles, a general manager is a big title. So, what is your job right now? What are you focusing on right now?
Well, at the start this year, I had a little bit less to do because we had to wait for the guidelines from Blizzard. So I was kind of a little bit chained, and what I did then was mainly help out Duri, but also Oris, aka Luft, our coach, in trying to get all the information from the players we need for tryouts, helping him set up practice, or if we need to. We also at the first day when we got voted, what we did was a meeting from, I don't know, over about an hour or 1.5, where we set a little roadmap for the first month or something, what we want to achieve and so on. Now that we're going on further, my job is pretty much organizing and connecting all the parts of our team. So for one hand, I'm staying in touch with Duri and the volunteers we have for the media team to make sure how they are progressing, what we need to do, what we want to do. So we there have a little roadmap on what we want to have content-wise, right? On the other hand side, I'm also always in touch with Aris because I'm trying to help him out as much as I can regarding tryouts. Compared to him, I probably know more of the Swiss players than he does, so I can give him a helpful pointer or two here and then. And obviously now the last part, which is more me focused in that sense, is all the sponsorship stuff that is pretty much starting right now, or well, it started longer ago, but right now is where we start going to hunt for sponsors. And also anything that has to do with Blizzard is happening through me. So if we need certain sets from Blizzard, then that is going to happen through me. Or if we have a question about travel and hospitality, how we have to do our ESTAs or that kind of stuff, or need them approved, that's happening over me. Thankfully, we have a lot of knowledge from last year, so it's more about getting those things approved rather than, hey, can you help me? How does this actually work? But overall, yeah, I don't want to say I'm the puppet master, but I'm the puppet master.
So let's ask the puppet then, the community lead. What is your job description, or what do you do right now, or what is it you will do?
Dance,
in the
little
next few
puppet.
Yeah, for me as a community lead, the main goal is to unfold the story of Team Switzerland first of all. Not only the people who are in Switzerland, the Swiss people, it's more like also to the whole world. I do separate most of the things in, some stuff is targeted to Swiss people, our local scene especially, because one of the goals is, of course, like recruit new members for the next couple of years. So you have to make this Swiss Overwatch scene attractive again and again and again. And that's what we do also, especially during the last Overwatch World Cup and this year's. We used our channel to promote certain leagues and cups and stuffs. And that's something we do especially for our players. And the other thing is to introduce our roster, our players to the world, put a spotlight on them, get them known. When we have like people who have the potential and want to go internationally, we have to make them as likely and as best presented as we can. Especially like this year, we don't have like the huge spotlight during the games because, as far as I know, it's off stream.
Not 100% sure, but
not 100% sure, but
yeah.
what some people say, and that's one of those things we don't actually know for certain right now. And the other part is like this year, what's different because we are kinda required to have sponsors to get over there. We have to collaborate with our sponsors. We have to create like videos and other content to feed them, to help them out and give them also a spotlight.
So this is so your role got bigger within the year, because now just for clarification for the viewers or the listeners, this year nothing is paid by Blizzard. You have to if I'm correct. You have to pay the flight, you have to pay the hotels, you have to organize everything yourself. This was not the case last year. Last year, Blizzard paid everything for you, if I'm right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And now, like you said, you have to find some sponsors. So your role definitely changed within this year. Like you said, creating some content so the sponsors will be happy and feel like there's there's a use in putting some money into this, some investment. So we're counting on you. We're counting on you, Duri. So you. But do you think this is going to be a hindrance or an obstacle to even get there now? Do you think there's a chance that the Team Switzerland will be ready? Like, you got the roster, you got everything, but you don't have the money to get there. Do you think that's a possibility?
Honestly, yes. Like, straight up. We're also very, like, in that direction, we're very transparent also towards our players, because we feel like it's important that not only we know, but also they know what they're going up against, or well, against in quotation marks here. Because we don't want to have a situation where we end up midway through the World Cup and someone's like, if we don't go, I don't feel like playing anymore. So we want players to know, hey, this is going to be a challenge for all of us. But keep in mind, like, even if we don't end up going there, you take something away from this. Because, in my opinion, obviously, like, BlizzCon and going to that event, that's the cherry on top of the cake. But as a player, no matter whether we go or not, you can learn so much in the time span from A until then, even if you don't go. You get to practice against players you might not practice against normally. You get to talk to people you might not talk to normally. So there's that thing. Sponsoring wise, I mean, if you know a little bit about business, you know that the time span we have right now, what is it, like 3 months, something like that, right?
Yeah.
To acquire a sponsor, that's a pretty short period of time. Plus, then there are certain guidelines that we need to be kept in. At any point, like Blizzard needs to approve the sponsorship of kind. And yeah, obviously, it's a tough task. We also asked players how much they would be willing to pay themselves. So we know where we stand. You know, we know what estimate of cost we have. We know which players would pay how much, and then, for example, 1 month before the event or a little bit more, we can make a check and see where we are. Obviously, there's also a few more other possibilities, except just sponsors or partnerships that we can look into. Maybe that's something Duri wants to talk about. That also, I think other teams already started doing now. I think we talked about it yesterday, where Latvia started doing a fundraiser.
Yeah. And Latvia isn't the biggest esports country in the world, if I'm correct. Or maybe
No, it's not.
Yeah, Duri. The ball is in the park.
We have not like in stone carved plan for that, like in the details, but we treat like the crowdfunding as a option B for certain, because first of all, when we get a sponsor, it's way more beneficial for us, and because the money is there if you get a good one. And we don't want to like jinx the sponsors when we do crowdfunding by the side, so they can say like, you kind of have the money right now and stuff like that, because we have to, in the first couple of weeks, we have to evaluate, are there any interested sponsors out there? And yeah, but if we go to this second option, we sure makes stuff like some achievements when you reach certain things, or when you donate a specific amount that you either get a jersey or stuff like that. We are already in talks for new fan jersey, which is also allowed this year.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, there's some stuff
Just
in process.
I'm checking real quick right now different teams around the world, their Twitter page, just to get some, let's say, just to compare. Like, let's say, the team Germany has about 5,200 followers, and Korea, interestingly enough, only has about 2,000, and not only, but has 2,915, which is less than you have. So you already have some reach there, because you have 3,600 followers already on your Twitter account, and you're in the upper middle of the pack if you compare it with the other national teams. So there's some reach there. There's some interest there in Switzerland, definitely internationally. So I guess the chances can still be good. 3 months now until the World Cup. We've got the team, the general manager, the community lead. We got the coach. We got some volunteers, like you said. Now the next thing we need is a team. And that's what you're working on right now. You are having some tryouts in Switzerland with Swiss people. And can you already tell us something about the people who want to go to the World Cup? I think it's not going to be the whole Silent Gaming team, even though they win everything in Switzerland.
Yeah, interestingly enough, the players or not all of the players from Silent Gaming were interested in this year's edition of the World Cup due to a various amount of reasons. Whether it is like some of them have studies that they just cannot skip, some of them are not happy with how the format is compared to last year, which is quite understandable. It's a rather rough format. But we have 2 Silent Gaming players in the tryouts right now, namely being Tankyo and Sir Gibson. And all the other tryouts, we have right now, I think, 17 people, more or less, for the first phase, and all of them. If you're on the Overwatch World Cup Discord or Team Switzerland Discord, you can see all the tryouts on the right-hand side in yellow. So we have various players from different teams that are already known. But for example, we also have players that in the Swiss scene, also to me, were not known before. For example, if I can drop a name here, Maple or Verion. I didn't know too much about them. And as for the tryouts, you mentioned it. We started tryouts. I actually don't even remember anymore when we started exactly. I think like 2 weeks ago or something. We started with the first phase, which is internal tryouts, where of those 17 people, we always take 12 people, if we have 12 around, and make them play against one another and shuffle around players a bit. And we even streamed that twice. And this phase has officially ended yesterday. And now on Friday or Saturday, we want to pick our top 12 players that we're going to forward to Blizzard. And from then on, it's time to try and get the roster down to the final 7.
The final 7. So we're really looking forward to who's going to be picked. And like you said, if there's going to be some names we don't know yet, that's always a nice surprise. If we got some good players in Switzerland who we haven't heard of until now, maybe because they're just playing for themselves and playing ranked all the time, or were they in teams that didn't compete in leagues, or where did they come from? Those names you just mentioned before.
I honestly cannot tell you everything by heart. I think Varium, for example, played in Open Division and was lurking around on SESL streams, for example. But there are also 2 names which I straight up just didn't know. Like, it happened last year already for some players. I mean, some of the players are simply not active in the Swiss esports scene, or maybe don't even know about it. You know, they're playing ranked on ladder and they're pretty good, but they don't know that the Swiss esports scene is a thing that still commonly happens.
Yeah, we have to work there as well, and that's going to be a community lead task as well, to make it known to the people out there.
Absolutely.
So in terms of reach and getting to the people to know about the event, do you think the Overwatch World Cup has the potential to reach people who have never heard of Swiss esports before? Do you think that's something that can grab them and make them interested?
Yeah, I mean, part of that. I mean, Overwatch is not like the biggest title right now. You have other bigger titles, especially for the casual players. And but for certain, there are at least couple of hundred people in Switzerland who play Overwatch. Some of them actually good, maybe, and later we don't know about, and they don't know the Swiss eSports team league and other tournaments. And yeah, I mean, how you can reach it, it's like either from Twitter or Facebook or all the other social medias. And yeah, they have to have them also.
Yeah.
If they are like off the grid and just play their games, and then it's like, yeah, it's got to be spoken about. And to get our message this deep, that's like the most challenging part of that all.
Yeah.
Controlling the social media is like the first and the easiest step of them all.
So we have to make sure that you guys make it out of group phase, make it out onto the big stage. And if you can make that, I think it's going to be interesting. We can set up public viewings, everything. Then the interest will come because you can tell a great story of Team Switzerland coming from a small country, going to the big pro scene in America, and then I guess people will come. How do you
Das
think?
Wunder von Anaheim.
Yes, exactly. How big do you think are your chances to be just great and make the wonder of Anaheim real?
Realistically speaking, for the single elimination bracket, I feel like for the first and second round we have rather good chances because Switzerland probably is going to be seated somewhere in the middle of the bunch because of recent performances and attending the World Cup. And then either in the second or third round, if we get that far, we're going to start getting against bigger names that could be troublesome for us. But then again, I got to say, like last year, our goal was, I remember one of the casters, we had a meeting with all the casters for like half an hour, where they could get to know the players and where they come from and so on. And they asked, so yeah, guys, what's your goal? And Mimi7 told you, we don't want to go 0-20. And when we had our first game against Norway, which we consider one of the harder opponents in our group, Duri, me, and Chino, plus our substitute or seventh player, I think it was Half, were sitting in our team booth backstage where we could follow all the action, have the player comes and so on. Suddenly, first map loads, and we win the first map against Norway.
Great.
Like that was a moment I will never forget because it was, of all of that happened, that was like the most surreal one to me. So I feel like if players go there confidently and believe in themselves, and we believe in us as a team, and think that we can do it with what we worked on, we have decent chances to at least get through 2 rounds, maybe even 3, and afterwards, yeah, we need a little bit of that Wunder of Anaheim.
And we will hope it will happen, and I think we got good chances, like you said. So thank you very much.
Even not. I mean,
even not.
Even when not, I mean, the thing is not just like we go there for this year and we do the best for this year's World Cup. I think a big part of what we are doing right now is to make our scene, our World Cup national team better organized and better informed for the next year and the next year and the next year. I mean, it's quite possible if the Overwatch World Cup goes further, like, let's call it like 5 years. And we manage to uphold what we are doing and get the next year a level higher. Maybe one of those times we have like the big shots.
Yeah.
When the whole scene, not just in Switzerland, because also worldwide, when it's more defined and more regulated. That's kind of also a part we're doing right now to make it easier for the guys next year.
Which is gonna be you guys again. Maybe. We will see.
We
No.
will see.
You're right. You have the role as a leader and the chance to create something for the future as well now. And I think not even in Overwatch, but also in different games, if there's gonna be the chance to compete in a World Cup with a format similar to this one, I think people will come to you and ask for your advice. What are your experiences and how did you handle that? And I guess that's going to be a big part of the esports scene in the future as well. Yeah, so I thank you very much for taking your time to talk to me. And I wish
No
you
problem.
the best of luck and everything and all the great things someone can wish other people for the next few months. I hope everything works according to plan. And I guess we will hear from you or read from you again in the
And
next
see.
few weeks. And see, definitely.
eSports.ch. Powered by UPC.